Welcome to Reddit Aliens. What's the longest you've gone without sleep? Why? And what were the side effects? Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. 67 hours. And because we were going to Yellowstone and the excitement paired with being an insomniac didn't go well. After about 30 hours I felt drunk, began to sway a bit. 40 hours and it was like I was on drugs. My hands and feet feeling numb, a dull haze behind my eyes, having the shakes, and my skin felt like it was plastic, like I could scratch it off and wouldn't feel anything. After you've been awake for that long, you start to get what I call a second high, like with running. You go and go and go, but once you push yourself past that threshold, it feels like pure adrenaline. You're hyper aware of your surroundings, you can see extreme details, and you not only don't feel tired anymore, but you feel like you could run a marathon and never stop. 50 hours and I was having hallucinations. Now, not only am I hyper aware, but I'm seeing the walls breathe, my emotions aren't in control, and it's like a strange feeling of insanity. You're in control of most of yourself, but laughter just came out of nowhere. Anger was sudden and in waves, even pleasure was there, but felt like an electric jolt every time. 60 hours and my thoughts were literally bleeding out of my mouth. My filter was completely gone, and now I'm not only seeing things that aren't there, but feeling them too. Like bugs crawling on my skin, or shadows touching and talking to me. Also, the best way I can describe the pain was like my brain was literally hurting. Not a headache, literal brain pain on the inside of my skull. When I finally did fall asleep, I didn't even know that I had. By that point, reality felt so much like a dream that actually dreaming felt exactly the same. I slept for 12 hours straight, and when I woke up, I felt like I'd been hit in the head with a hammer. It took me a moment to separate what was reality and what wasn't, but after that, I still have false memories from that trip. It's a strange experience, and one I wouldn't recommend doing. You could really hurt yourself staying up that long, so don't try. Sleep is important. Right out of the gate, this was a great description of what sleep deprivation can do to you. Loss of emotional filter, hallucinations. You really did a good job. What's the longest you've gone without sleep? And if you're listening to this within the first hour, you're up too late. Go to bed. I have chronic insomnia. My worst bout was my freshman year of college. Stayed up around 60 hours straight that I can recall. Things are fairly hazy. I know I was very out of it, had dark bags under my eyes. Nothing could really hold my attention for longer than a few seconds. This was all during exams. I remember exams wrapping up and me finally being able to return to my dorm and sleep, and I just couldn't. Like it took me a solid 2 to 3 hours to actually make it work. That's fairly typical for me when I go long periods without sleeping though. I'm a biker in a club and used to party like crazy. My record for me is 8.5 days. If you're a fan of mind-altering and downright going crazy, go ahead. The hallucinations were pure terror. I couldn't speak. I would have conversations with nothing, really scary stuff. I'm clean now and can laugh at my foolishness, but I drove my bike around at 3 a.m. doing well over 100 miles per hour because the demons all had Jap bikes and I tried to outrun them. I could have killed someone very easily because the highway was covered in oil by demons and lit a fire, and if I couldn't get away, I'd die. All in all, a bad trip. 3 days. Was working 2 jobs, 80-hour weeks just to stay away from my parents when I still lived there. I was home when they were at work, so it was okay. My body felt super heavy and groggy. Your ears, nose, throat, and eyes feel heavy on the inside. The last time I drove before I finally fell asleep, I would just be scanning the road as normal, but as my eyes shift from one thing to another, it seems like a raccoon or something small was running across the street. So I was in full sleepy panic mode the whole time. 6 days. My crush was staying over at my place, senior year of high school, and I just couldn't or wouldn't sleep because of excitement or wanting to spend all of my time with him. By day 6, I was hallucinating and losing time, probably micro-sleeping. He finally convinced me to get some sleep while he and my brother worked in the yard. I slept for about 16 to 20 hours. Pro tip here. If your crush is visiting, try to make sure that you sleep sometime in between 6 days, or you can turn into a rage-filled animal that your crush might not like anymore. Story time. I went into the Air Force in early January 2005. I woke up on a Tuesday morning at 3:30 a.m. to go to MEPS. I boarded my flight to San Antonio sometime around 10 a.m. with a long layover in Orlando. Weather hit, and we were forced to stop in Houston. Eventually, we got in about 1 a.m. in the morning. Lackland is on the southwest side of the city, the airport on the north and slightly east side. We have to wait for the cadre to show up from Lackland because they were in between what they thought would be the last run of the day and when we got in. Arrived at Lackland around 2:30 a.m., almost 24 hours. I'm beat. Looked at a tie wrong, got smoked. We played pick 'em up and put 'em down for a while. We got sorted into our squadrons or flights and shipped off to our dorms. Hey, is that light on the horizon? I think to myself as I'm walking into the dorm. We go through orientation, get assigned a bunk, put our shit on our beds and line up. Time for breakfast. This point, they can't make us do physical shit yet. They just yell. We go back to the racks and more orientation, then lunch, which I remember consisted of 3 glasses of water and 3 bites of a ham sandwich or something. Then it's time for haircuts, vaccinations, and some kind of blood work or something. I only remember because someone found out they had sickle cell anemia. Holy crap, time for dinner. But it's late, so it's 3 glasses of water and dry cereal or something. Oh, but wait, we need to be drug tested? So off we go at 11 p.m. or some shit, down to the drug testing place where we wait for effing hours in line to give a sample and then return to formation. There's first light as we are marching back to the dorm. I'm silently wishing death on every shy, peeing dipshit in my group. We've crossed 48 hours. I have this sheet of info I'm trying to memorize. I've been appointed to be in charge of the CQ desk. I'm trying to teach people how to do it so I don't get roasted. Everyone is tired, and they all suck at it. In order to not get in trouble, I volunteer for the first shift. Lights out. Everyone to their racks. I have 2 hours before I can close my eyes. Wait, what's that commotion? Dude tried to hang himself with a bedsheet. Rescue him, call for help, everyone's awake. They storm the room. Everyone into the day room. No one got more than a 30-minute nap. I got nothing. They leave us in the day room, and then someone comes and pulls me out and sends everyone else back to bed. I'm in the commander's office, and I can't think straight. He asks me what happened. My answer must not have made a lot of sense. I'm trying to tell him that I caught him almost immediately because of the noise. I get asked a million questions. It feels like it's all the same question. I got told to stand outside. I can hear yelling. No idea what about. Daylight. F. Nothing makes sense anymore. Shit is moving. The letters on my memory sheet are moving, making new words that confuse me. I start micro-napping, standing up. I get in trouble for my eyes closing a dozen times and am made to do push-ups and flutter kicks when I get tired of doing push-ups. The cadre is roasting me for being tired. I don't dare say anything. That afternoon about 4 p.m., I think because that's when the TI changeover happened, the person who was there the night before comes in. Her name was Sergeant Shirley. She calls me into her office and does a little yelling and then gets quiet and asks if I'm okay from the night before. I said yes, I'm just very tired. She puts some dots together and realizes I haven't slept since I got there. She sends me to the chow hall for dinner with the first flight to go through. I'm nervous as hell. I don't know these people. I can't even cognitively ask for something. I grab a sandwich and my 3 glasses of water and get the F out as fast as possible. I get back to the racks, and the flight is lined up against the wall to go to chow. Sergeant pulls me aside and tells me to go to sleep as soon as everyone leaves. I'm out before the door shuts on the last one out and don't wake up until the next morning. Over 80 straight hours of hell, and an evergreen example of why being in the military is so shitty. It's literally all run with that little thought and that poorly. I will say that after I got good sleep, the memory sheet was a breeze. Like I was surprised that after 3 days of struggling with it, I suddenly remembered all of it. As far as I can remember, I was awake for like 52 plus hours. Never really had sleepovers as a teenager because of strict guardians, so summer camp was like a 3-day sleepover. I didn't get much sleep the night before, didn't nap on the 3-hour bus ride, and stayed up the whole first night with a friend. The next day, as the speaker was talking, I started hallucinating. It was like dreaming with my eyes open. The stage turned into a screen, and the audience turned into a movie theater. I'm laughing now, but it was miserable. Now, as an adult, sleepovers have a whole different meaning and connotation, but am I the only one that misses like real sleepovers, sleeping bags, staying up late, horror movies, group of people? I think that'd be cool. I go camping with friends, but it's not exactly the same. I stayed up for 72 hours while writing a research paper that I procrastinated. On the third day, I was hearing alarm clocks constantly and thought people were talking to me when they weren't. I missed my first class every day for the rest of the week, and after that, I was mostly fine. At least now I know I can do it.